Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome back and happy Thursday to you. I hope you're having a nice week. Today, let me tell you, 12 years ago was the day my son was born. So yes, today for me is super special. Today, I guess 12 years ago, today was the day I became a mom for the first time. And for those of you who are parents, you know how special that is. And if you're joining us on the replay, a hello, thank you so much for tuning in. It's wonderful to have you with us. A big welcome also to my friends at Modern Mom, as now we're also streaming to you, so you can stay on top of relevant business and financial news. Let's start with the market, let you know how the market closed. Now, today was an overall really, really positive day. The Dow closed up 188 points. The NASDAQ, my friends, up 329 points. Let me tell you, I'm so happy about that because many of my clients have tech exposure, but also because, as you know, our show is also distributed from our friends at NASDAQ. And the S&P also up 40 points today. Let's just talk about what all of us have been hearing, which is the stimulus checks are coming this weekend, in fact. I mean, you gotta give a thumbs up on this because it's gonna be helping so many Americans. President Biden has officially signed the third stimulus into law today. He actually said that he was gonna sign tomorrow. And you know, I love it. The early bird gets the worm. I always love it when people take initiative and just move a little faster. So in fact, this is, if those of you who've been tuning in, you know, this is the fastest that we've seen a stimulus package get signed. And it looks like the checks, he's saying the checks are going to be starting to be sent out this weekend. So those of you who have direct deposit set up with the IRS are probably going to be looking at some funds hitting your account sooner rather than later. So what would COBRA relief do at the economy? And, you know, for those of you who are concerned, maybe thinking about how this will impact inflation. Now, the good news is that we expect the latest $1.9 trillion relief package to help a lot of Americans, which will allow them to help fuel the economy and thereby continue to keep the stock market moving in a relatively positive direction. In fact, studies have shown that helping children and families poverty leads them down the road to increase productivity and start the break of cycle of not being able to stay in school, not be able to keep a job, and the basics of you and I take for granted. So is inflation a concern? I think it could be, is if we saw increased government debt, things like that, increased money printing by the U.S. government, increasing minimum wage too. You need to demand considerably, you would really need to see demand considerably outpace inflation for that to take place. But so far, I think we can't forget that certainly Jerome Powell has said that this is something top of the agenda, and it just might improve things sooner rather than later. So I think you're losing my camera. So let me see if I can get that up and running for you. Oh, I'm frozen. Well, you can hear me all right. I guess I'm just frozen. So let me see if I can get this adjusted for you. Give me one moment. Why don't we do that? So we can never forget Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, he is saying that he understands that there's a lot of concerns about inflation, but do you know that this is something that he is watching very much, very, very closely? So something that, for those of you who are concerned, that's what I would tell you. Don't worry yet until we know. We can't worry about things until we know how that's going to affect everybody. So let's see. Let's see if that worked. I apologize. Today we're having technical difficulties and I don't know exactly why. All right, so sounds like we will have to, let me see what I can do here. Okay, well, you know what? There's always a first. And that's what makes it fun, that it's a live stream. So, without further ado, you don't really need to see me. I mean, after all, the most important thing is we're here to see our guests. And that's what's beautiful is we have our guests. So let's do that. So what do we expect? The $1.9 trillion deal is pretty awesome, but do know that market expectations inflation concerns is that inflation might increase up to 2.5%, 2.5%, which is pretty normal. So as long as that doesn't increase and go beyond that number, I think we're going to be okay. But let's talk about what this stimulus does give us. It's going to give us that $1,400 stimulus check and certainly a lot of support for kids. But without further ado, let's introduce our guests. So we have with us Brian Schulman, and we also have the one and only Suzanne Brown. Hi, how are you both?
Hi, Winnie.
Hello.
Hi,
So
Winnie.
Suzanne, hello. I know you can hear me, but I'm like the voice today, but you can't see me. But that's
Yes,
okay.
the
This
voice
is
of
great
Winnie.
for days. Yeah, it's great for days when maybe you have a bad hair day. What are you gonna do?
Hey, roll with it.
Okay, you gotta
Or
roll
when you
with
want
it.
to be all powerful, I am the voice
I
behind
know.
the
Yes.
I
magic.
am the voice of Level Up. Suzanne Brown, strategic marketing and business consultant. Boom, boom, boom. Work-life balance speaker, consultant, and best-selling. And let me just say, 1, 2, 3, 4-time award-winning author. She empowers company leaders and working moms to think differently about balance and take action now. She shares her own experience and extensive research, as well as tips, insights, and advice from interviews with more than 110 working moms. In her downtime, you can find Suzanne, her husband, and her 2 young boys on a nearby hiking trail. She just told us actually she walks like 3.5 miles a day with this super dog of hers. And she's not starving her dog. She just needs to feed him more because he walks so much, right, Suzanne?
That's what you got to do. It keeps me on my
Yeah.
toes.
You know what? I feel like you need a doggy food fund. I think that should be part of your 2021 financial bucket list. But Brian Schulman, boom, 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 Forbes featured entrepreneur, LinkedIn top voice, founder and CEO of Voice Your Vibe 2020, top 50 most impactful people of LinkedIn, 2-time LinkedIn Global Leader of the Year, 2019 LinkedIn. Okay, seriously, I feel like at this point we should just call you Video God because it just goes on and on. 2019 LinkedIn Video Creator of the Year, one of the pioneering top LinkedIn video and LinkedIn Live creators of the universe, including alien planets. That's included. I added that to your bio. Brian, this is very important. You're laughing,
Yes,
but
it's
we
very
added that.
important.
Okay. This is very important. Okay, let's talk about this. I want to share with the two of you, as I am just the voice today, the quote of the day. Okay. Now, I'm sure you both you're not fast enough to Google this. So I'm going to ask you, this is a quote that we have for today. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. Who do you think this quote is from, Suzanne? Who do you think?
I think that sounds like an Oprah Winfrey moment of wisdom.
Oprah Winfrey moment. Okay. Well, that's pretty. I'm kind of loving that. Brian Schulman, who do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to say Oprah as well.
Well, you guys are you are just like the smartest people. And I'm going to tell you, we haven't had people get right on this in so long, but you are absolutely both right. It is absolutely Oprah Winfrey, the one and only. I had to throw in a couple of their names in there. It's really inspiring women today. I figured, it's International Women's Day this week. We should celebrate. But absolutely, that was Oprah Winfrey. Those of you who are joining us, I see you. Oh, I got to say, I see all of you. I see Tim, see you at Facebook. Tim Son, everybody loves. Wendy Barker, boom, boom, boom. I know you are coming to us because of the one and only Brian Schulman. She's joining us from YouTube. And oh goodness, so many of you. So many of you are joining us. It's lovely to see all of you. Let's keep talking about it. Today we're going to talk about the mindset and play into becoming mentally stronger. This is what I love this topic because, I mean, it's sort of like, it's perfect because you can't see my mind and what I'm thinking. But Suzanne, let's start with you. How do you think, what do you think it takes to get into not only a healthy mindset, but also making sure that your mindset plays into becoming mentally stronger? Like, we really have to build this each and every day. Can you kind of lead us up on that?
So I think some of the things that you can do to be mentally stronger are things like focus on the things that you can control versus, going down the black hole of social media, or when you just sit there and you're just scrolling through and you see all of these things. It's like the phrase is doom scrolling. So don't focus on those things. Focus on the things that you can control. You can plan your time so that you know what you're working on, so that you don't have all this downtime to think, okay, now what am I going to do? And I think the other part of that is having people in your corner. Even just right now, you can tell that the three of us have known each other, and being able to have people like that, positive people, and people who have that whole mindset of you can do this, you can make things happen, that makes a huge difference.
It does make a huge difference. We do need to rely on one another, and especially positive forces. And that's why I'm so grateful to have the two of you, such good friends. So let me tell you, on a day where I am just a voice, it's really best to have your buddies around. And so these two wonderful individuals are certainly that. So talk to me about this, Brian. You've gone through a lot in your life. You've got through a lot of challenges. Share with us, especially this year during the pandemic, how has this shifted for you? Has it changed what your day looks like? Have you gone through some personal struggles yourself during this time?
That's a really good question. And I think anyone that says they haven't is probably not telling the truth, because it's been such a lump of a year in so many different ways, right? And I certainly have. I mean, everybody that knows me knows I show up positive every time I show up, but that doesn't mean that I'm not struggling. It doesn't mean I haven't been dealing with the pandemic internally and having a rough time with it. And one of the things I was talking to these amazing women about before we came on was that I've been sitting on this couch for a long time, especially in this pandemic, and felt really sludgy, and my body was screaming at me saying, you need to get up, you need to get moving. And I did. I got up, I started moving, and I went out for a walk that turned into a little bit of a run, and my knees weren't really happy about that. So it was like 15 minutes, a little walk, little run, little walk. And I said, okay, the walk is good. I'll do a little more of that walk part. Maybe I'll pick up my pace and make it a power walk. And started to do that on a daily basis. And 15 minutes turned into 30 minutes, turned into an hour, turned into 2 hours over the course of weeks. And my neighbors would see me and they're like, you're out here a lot. How many miles are you doing? This is crazy. I'm like, I have no idea. I just know how long I'm out here for. And it wound up being 8 miles a day, 5 days a week.
8 miles a day? That's even more than Suzanne and her dog at 3.5 miles, Suzanne. Your dog and you do nothing compared to Brian.
No kidding. Do you want to walk my dog?
Yeah. Well, so it's crazy.
I'll just drop him off at your house.
Yes, just bring the dog over. Yes. I didn't plan it. It wasn't, it was just this, okay, I'll just go. And I had, shout out to Spotify, because I always have my music on and just would go. And I was kind of just pushing myself. Like, I eased my way into all of this, and again, I didn't realize how long I was power walking for. And I kind of took it to another level. And remember, I hadn't exercised for years. I mean, literally, I've just kind of been, I've put on COVID weight and all that, and decided to add some push-ups into the mix. And again, I hadn't done any of this stuff for a long time. So it was just like, okay, I'll just, how many can I do? I'll do 5, I'll do 10, whatever. And the long story short turned into, I wound up doing 8 miles a day and what became 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 200 push-ups. And yeah, and again, I hadn't done this. So like this was all new. Yeah. Right. Now I'm going to add another monkey wrench into the equation. Right. And I said, okay, well, if I can do this,
yeah.
We
just gotta do this.
Where's Tim? He's loving the sound effects, I know. So I added another little wrench into the mix, and I said, well, if I can do this, why don't I take one day and just kind of go big on my miles? Like, I'm already doing 8 miles. Why don't I just see what else I can do? And so I'd pick a Wednesday, and that Wednesday I'd go a little over, right? So over the course of however many weeks, because it's been like 9 months or something, I'd add another couple miles. And so 8 miles turned into like 10 miles. And then another week it turned into like 12 miles. And then another week. And I would always best that. I'd push myself just to go over it a little bit, just because to see if I could. Right. And I wound up this one week where I went upstairs to my son the night before. It was Tuesday night. And I said, I've got a big day tomorrow. I'm going to go like 20 miles. Yeah, because I'd never done it before. I'm like, I'm going to go like 20 miles. And I remember saying to him, I'm like, but it would be really cool if I could do a marathon. In miles, if I could actually do a marathon. And I told him I was going to do 20 miles and 500 push-ups. I'm like, I don't know how. He's like, how long is that going to take you? I said, I have no idea. I've literally cleared my calendar. A really long time. No, for sure. And I told him I cleared my calendar for the day because I just didn't know how long it was going to take. And I think it was about 6 or 7 hours. Again, it was a marathon in mile, 26.4 miles, I think is what I actually did. And I did 600 push-ups. And I put the whole thing on LinkedIn stories. 600
push-ups?
Now look, it was over the course
bananas.
over the miles, right? So every like 0.6 miles, I was doing 20 push-ups or something.
Whoa.
And so anyway, yeah, so I put the whole thing on LinkedIn. I decided that morning, I'm like, I'm going to track this whole journey on LinkedIn stories and take everybody with me. So I was lots of video and whatnot. And I mean, I've never done it before in my life. Never something I thought I could ever do. And there were certainly moments where I wanted to stop, but I found myself saying something during this day, which was, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can. How? One step at a time. And in my case, it literally was one step at a time. And my feet were killing me and my body was screaming. But I don't know. I just thought it might inspire somebody. Yeah, I did it because I never thought I could. And I thought maybe it'll inspire someone to get up, just to get up and get out.
It is really inspiring because it was cool seeing you. I saw some of the footage you shared on LinkedIn. I am the voice today, by the way. For those of you joining me, we did see you on LinkedIn. I know, and I saw you're like a sweaty mess, and you have your tennis shoes and everything. Let's talk about Suzanne. I'd love for you to talk about this too. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, Brian's a pretty impressive dude. How do you overcome? Sometimes, many of us feel that way. Sometimes we feel like an imposter. We feel like, other people like Brian, they're walking 8.5 miles a day. They're doing 600 push-ups. And, you're doing 3.5 miles a day with your dog. I mean, that's pretty great. I will tell you, I'm probably nowhere close to that. But I'm sure you felt this way before. Imposter syndrome. Like, how do you deal with this?
So I think Brian's story is actually a perfect story because you don't want to look at Brian's story and try to mimic it, right? Like, you want to stay in your own lane. And I think that's one of the things. It's so easy to get on social media. It's so easy to read somebody's blog and then think, I'm less than. But the point is, being able to use a story like the one that Brian just shared is a moment of inspiration to get up and do something, but you don't have to do exactly what he did, right? So I think that's the thing of keeping your eyes on your own lane. And then something that you can start to do that can help you down the road is what I call your I rock folder. And so literally, because you rock, that's what this folder is all about. And each week on Friday, so tomorrow afternoon, you put in your big and your small wins and you keep putting it in a folder. And anytime you have a moment when you think, I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't be doing this, those moments of doubt. And that happens whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're an employee. You look in that folder and you see all of the things that you've done over the course of time. And especially if you're growing your business, you see how much you've grown over the course of time. And that helps you overcome those moments. And you can see, look at everything that I've been able to accomplish. And you yourself can start to deal with that imposter syndrome by taking those little steps, right? But but it's really hard to do that looking back and thinking, okay, what did I do in January? And then what was it that I did the quarter of last year? And so that's why I say each week on Friday afternoon, just put it in there. And it can be printed, it can be in a folder on your desktop, like whatever it is, but something that you always add to. And that way it's collected, right? Like it's automatic. And I think that can be really helpful for a lot of people. But that's something you can't look at now. You got to start it now. So
yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you. I think so often we need to celebrate the small wins and the big wins. And so often if you do this on a daily or weekly basis, this is really important, right? Just like I'm sure you would all agree, because especially now that we hear that Brian's walking all over the planet, and Suzanne and her dog, who she keeps her dog working hard and eating a lot. I mean, sometimes we just have to put things into perspective of what we can and cannot do. Brian, have you dealt with this? I mean, we've talked about this before. You go to these social media conferences, pre-pandemic and whatnot. It just seems like everybody's got everything going on. How do you combat that? I mean, obviously you're very much active in the media, and your big thing is helping other people. You're all about, voicing your vibe and supporting others. How do you work through that personally?
It's such a really good question. So first I want to say, love the iRock folder. I do that. I've been doing that for a long time. I just think of it an awesome name like that. So I love that. And it really is something that's important, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You have so many ups and downs, and more downs than ups in the journey. Like, to have those things to reference and look back to go, hey, I had a win today. I got up today. I took an action today, right? Every small step is a win. And honestly, every fall is a win too. It's really easy to judge yourself and sit there. Hey, there she is. It's really easy to judge yourself. I got to tell you too, guys, by the way, like, I have imposter syndrome every single day. Like, literally, I had it today, I had it yesterday. The other thing that's really important too is to surround yourself with people that love you and that you love, just like right now. Okay. And I will tell you this because I have been going through some stuff myself recently, and self-doubt and all those things. Again, we all have imposter syndrome. Anybody that says they have their stuff all together they're not telling you the truth. We are all falling apart behind the scenes, right? You see those pictures of the glacier, right? And it's like, oh, it looks so pristine and fabulous. And you look underneath and it's like everything is all over the place and breaking apart. And, it's just like that. So it's how you deal with it, right? It's how you deal with it. And we're talking about the importance of mental health, and it's so, it is so important to take care of yourself. Like, this journey that I told you guys about, I have significantly scaled back on, because I realized that I was pushing myself so hard. And when I look back at it in reflection, I think part of my pushing myself was also helping me get through what we've been going through. Subconsciously. And I do have a degree in psychology, not that I'm going to get all psychobabble, but I look back and in reflection, and I'm like, you know what? Wow. Like, I've immersed myself in my shows, and yes, my shows have nothing to do with me. They all have to do with all of you, and lifting you up and making you laugh and smile and bringing people together in a time where it's so hard, and so, yeah. So I think back to your point and your question, which I might need to rephrase. We all deal with imposter syndrome. I want you to all know that I do deal with that. And, it's easy to put all the good stuff out. I did actually put a moment out a couple of weeks ago. I was just a stroll of a walk, and I had a dear friend of mine say, don't go crazy. Just go out and just take a stroll. That's it. Don't do push-ups. Just go take a walk and just enjoy.
And go 8 miles.
No, like, you don't. They're like, no, just do a couple miles. Just do a couple miles, because that's much better for you. And
how long does that take you though? Like, seriously, Brian, 8.5 miles. Like, how long did it take you to do that?
So in terms of the power walking that I've been doing, it was 8 miles. It's like 2 hours. Wow. So like every hour is 4 miles or something. And, I would get in my head sometimes just when the Nike app, shout out to Nike's Runner Club app, it would tell me how long and whatever. And I, unbeknownst to me, I wound up picking up my pace because I want to see if I can go a little bit quicker. I'm like that walker in the Dolphins that you see in the 80s, that's me just moving. Hi. Right. Yeah, exactly. So,
See, and Brian, I do the opposite because I'm listening to like an audiobook and I'm like, I'm just going to slow down just a little bit so that I can finish this chapter. Without speeding up. I'm like, I just a few more minutes out. Okay, so I can see my house. Okay,
right.
I'm going to stop for just a minute. Right? I'm almost done.
My problem is the music is like,
oh yeah. No.
So I'm of course you're like picking me up, but what I was saying was like I had a moment, and I really hit me like this whole pandemic hit me really hard, and I just went like this, and I stopped, and I'm like. I started crying, and I'm like, I need to take a picture right now. And I need to post this really somber look on my face, which was just pure sadness. And I posted it. And I posted a message with it about the experience. And as Winnie knows, if I post something that's down, there's always a message that comes with it that's has something inspirational with it. And it really was just the fact of, look, we are all growing through this right now in ways we've never experienced before in our life and never thought we ever would. And it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to say that you're not okay. And it's okay to not know how you're not going to be okay from not being okay. Just embrace
That's
it.
That's a lot of okays. Yeah.
That's a lot of,
That's a lot of cases. I can do that because we're like family. But it's true, and there's not like, when you follow Brian Schulman, there's not a lot of down days. He's very inspiring. And also he tends to be the person who lifts you up. So as we all know that none of us can always lift other people up, there's always going to be a time where we need others, right? As well. And I think it's really strong that you actually went to social and we're so raw. And that's I'm sure people just jumped to your support, Brian, just like you do for everybody else.
They did, and that's the thing, right? Like Winnie, and Suzanne and I don't know each other terribly well, but I love really
Suzanne.
Good, like I get this, it's like we all love to lift. We have to be the light, like Winnie's sun is.
No, right? Suzanne
Winnie,
Brown is.
Yes, we all are. Winnie is the sun that lightens everybody's life up, you guys.
That is so cute.
But we have our moments, right? And that is the really cool thing, if we put those moments out, people really do show up, and it's amazing. It's really amazing when they do, and they're there to say, hey, it's okay. Like, you're lifting us up all the time, every day. Like, we're here for you. And I don't know about you guys, but, I will do, Winnie knows this because Winnie's the same way, and I think Suzanne is too. We will do anything for anyone. We will help whoever we can, however we can, because it's just what we do. But
as long as we can, as much as we can, as much as we humanly can. Yeah. It just seems like there's not enough seconds to every day. I love this though. But you are, I think this is what's so great about what you do, Brian. I think that it says a lot about your character, and same with Suzanne. And this is actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of segue the question a little bit because I really want Suzanne to talk about this. This is something that I've talked about for years. I'm a big believer in this. And I feel like if the people, I think when people think of us, I think this is something I hope that they say of us, Suzanne, talk about how we can fit more gratitude into our days and our weeks. This is something that you and I talked about a lot on social, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I think that is the thing there's a little bit of an underlying element of that in the conversation that we're having today, right? Like that ability to find that happy place and to help others find that happy place. And so one of those things is through gratitude. And it's through finding those moments, because when you can find those moments that you are grateful for, you continue to have more of those moments, right? Like if you're focusing all of your attention only on things that you don't like or you want to change, and you're not focusing on the things that you love and that you appreciate, all of your attention is going to go to the things that aren't working. And that's one of those things that you can do through maybe a gratitude journal. I know people who start that at the beginning of their day, and that kind of helps set their tone for the day. Or other people who write in their gratitude journal, like me, at the end of the day, and it's 3, 5, 1, whatever it is, things that you're grateful for the day. But you also don't want it to be toxic gratitude or toxic positivity, because there are going to be some days when your gratitude is all about today is over, and that is okay. Not every day is going to be bliss. So I think that can be incredibly helpful. And I'll say it's also something that we started with our kids, because we wanted them to find those positive moments in their day as well. And those moments when they can look and say, this person did something kind for me, or I did something kind for someone else. And they start to look for those moments. So it's something that you can do for your kids too, if you're a parent.
I love that. That's really powerful. And you got to talk about this, Brian. So let's go further. Suzanne keeps a journal, a gratitude journal. This is really powerful. I don't, but let's talk about how you do it, Brian, through video. I think a lot of us could appreciate that.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, love, gratitude. I have a lot of friends right now that have been struggling with this too. And I was struggling through it. And a dear friend of mine said something that stuck with me and I've shared with others. And she got it from a fellow TEDx speaker. And she said, wake up every morning, right when you wake up and right before you put your head on the pillow, 7 things you're grateful for. So you're starting your day with gratitude. You're ending your day with gratitude. Now I take that to another level. When I think about, hey, Paul, thank you.
We love Paul.
We do.
Yeah.
When,
Hi, Paul.
my shows are a perfect example of that, because they literally are all about sharing the good. Because for What's Good Wednesday, I always say there's always a silver lining, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what's going on in your world, there's always a silver lining. There's always something good, right? There's always something to be grateful for. And I bring on people from the comments of the shows as guests. That's how the show works, no matter where they are around the world, and have them share something good. I'm breathing. That's good, right? I have a roof over my head. I have food in my fridge. I'm with my friend. Yeah, I mean, gosh, Winnie, I haven't hugged you for a year. I miss hugs so much, right? But that's a good example, right? Because to share, to be grateful for, right? Saturday is all about giving gratitude to those that made a positive impact in your life. That's what Shout Out Saturday is. Those are 2 inflection points in your week that you can show up for and share things that you're grateful for and people that you're grateful for, right?
Absolutely.
And having that gratitude attitude, even when you're not feeling
attitude. I love that.
Yeah, it changes your perspective, right? It really does change your mindset. So those are 2 ways that, that I show up so that others can show up for 150 weeks now. Actually, if you look at both of those combined, it's 350. But, I don't know. I think we're all looking for outlets. We're all looking for ways of how we can do that. And you can do it through a journal, which is amazing. Suzanne said you can do it. You can do it by making little quick videos each day. Make yourself a little video. And it's okay if you're not feeling okay too. Tell yourself that. Because the thing is, you'll go back when you're not feeling okay again, and you'll look at that video that was a week before and go, hey, I wasn't okay, but I'm a week in and I'm good. I'm here. I'm not feeling okay again, but that's okay, because I had great moments along the way. And I think the other thing Suzanne said that's really important too, guys, is all of those things that are happening in your day, to take it in, be grateful. I had that today. I walked outside before the show and I just took a deep breath, and I'm in San Diego and Winnie's in LA, and it's brisk. We've had rain and, but the sun is peeking through the clouds and everything is greener. And I just took in the moment and I said, wow, I'm grateful for this. Hey, Marcello, I'm grateful for this moment. My world is turned upside down right now. I'm trying to do something no one has ever done before on LinkedIn, and I'm 150 guests in 4 hours. I don't know how we're going to get it done, but there's so many people coming to
It
the
will get
charge.
done.
It will. It almost definitely get done. We're making history, but like there is no sleep taking place for my team, and we are just burning the midnight oil. And but you know, as we're running, like I said, in that moment, which was so great for this moment we're having right now, was I took a moment of gratitude and mental self-awareness and health and said, okay, I need to go outside. I need to walk for a little bit. I need to take in the air. I need to be grateful. I even did what I said. I made myself a couple quick video clips and said, wow, I'm really grateful for this moment. I'm about to go on my friend Winnie's show and be with Suzanne, and we're talking about mental health, and I'm embracing the moment, you know, and
I
it's
love
easy
that.
for us
Thank
to
you.
not do that, you know.
I know. Thank you so much. This is so huge. And I appreciate both of you so much. But, you know, it's like, I do wish I could be in person with you. I feel like I've known both of you for so long. I know, Brian, I got a chance to meet you in person and hug you and really became very good friends. Suzanne, I feel like is my sister and I haven't seen her in so long. But we've actually never been in person yet. But
I know.
that, you know, but one of these days we will get we'll get the husbands and kids together and we will get together. But let's have some fun. Let's talk about it. Let's do our speed round. Why don't we? Okay, so let's do this. Let's start with you. I know Brian's into the moment now.
Round, right?
Like he's ready to go. But we're starting with Suzanne. Suzanne, I'm gonna ask you, if you could make one phone call to someone living or past to tell them what an incredible difference that they've made in your life, who would it be and why would you choose them?
Are you sure you don't want to start with Brian? Okay. So I don't necessarily need to, this is somebody who I have interacted with because this is one of my mentors. Okay. So Duff Stewart is one of my mentors, and I'm calling him out. He really kind of embraced me and took me under his wing when I was still working at the company where he's the CEO to this day, and really helped me understand my value and what it is that I do. And I really have always appreciated that. But I still get to tell him that because he's still one of my mentors. So,
I love that.
So, yeah.
Well, so go Doug.
Yeah. So I can't say enough good things about him.
Well, we got to meet Doug one of these days. But Brian, who would you pick?
Well, I mean, if we're going with someone that's alive, it'd be my mom, because I am the man I am today because of her. But if I look back, it's my grandmother, which is my mom's mom. And she had such an impact on my life, and I miss her terribly. And I wish she knows. She knows. And honestly, I always say when I have those moments where I'm like, please just something right to happen right now. Mm-hmm. I know it's her. Her. So I would want her to know, and I would give her all of the incredible tins of cookies that she gave me. You know, those tins you see during the holidays, the blue tins with like the 3 or 5 different sweet cookies
Danish
or whatever
cookies.
The Danish, yes. She would have tins of these for me. And I
Those
love
are the
them.
best.
They're the best. And we all have our favorites in them. And every time I get them every year. And I always think of her. And I always call my mom and I'm like, I'm eating cookies. So, yeah.
She's like the little sugar crystals on top of the yummy cookies. She's like what makes you sparkle. I love that. All right. Second question then, Suzanne. If you could choose one person to switch roles with for one day, who would that be and why?
So I am going to go with, honestly, I think like a doctor. You know, I think that this has been just one of those moments where a role that we really took for granted is really kind of front and center. And to be able to see things from their eyes and just with their perspective, I think would be really helpful. Just to have that frame of reference with everything that's going on right now. So, absolutely. And to be able to share that with others and say, you know, let's look at things from the eyes of somebody who's literally on the front line. So
I love that. That's really powerful. Brian, who would you switch places with?
Yeah, I love that, Suzanne, because every week, like, I'm always giving shout outs to everybody on the front lines, and I think there's something really humble about that, and understand, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what, the nurses who aren't sleeping or going through, and all the everything that's going on in their mind, and the good and the bad that they have to deal with every day. And I think, it's just like this pandemic. You just don't really know what someone is going through unless you've walked in their shoes. And I'm with you on that. I think having that experience would be an incredible one. There's so many different ways to answer this question, but I really like that. I think that would be amazing.
It would be amazing, right? If a medical professional out there, a doctor in ICU or a nurse in ICU, literally had a body cam all day and filmed their day from the beginning of their shift to the end of
Wow.
shift. You know how powerful that would be? Because I know I've been in and out of hospitals because my dad's been in and out. This is, in the early stages of the pandemic, and how really stressful that was for patients and the medical professionals. So huge, so huge. Well, on that note, you know what? There's so much more that we're going to talk about. And the beautiful thing is, I'm definitely going to have both my friend Brian Schulman and, of course, Suzanne Brown back on the show, because I know you all love them. I absolutely love them. They're as great people behind the camera they have so many layers of beautifulness and kindness to them that I'm so immensely grateful for their friendship. So let me just end with this and ask Suzanne Brown, how can others find you, Suzanne? Where would you like them to follow you? That's so cute, right?
I am all things Mompowerment. So you can head over to mompowerment.com. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. So just look for me, Mompowerment.
I love that. Mount Power. And then you can see her beautiful website. And she's got 4 books, don't forget, which are really, really powerful, especially for those of you executives at different companies looking really for work-life balance. She's a great person to follow, and definitely a dear friend of mine, Brian Schulman. Okay, let me just say, if you don't follow Brian Schulman, you definitely need to follow this man. Where should they follow you, Brian? I know this is a big, very, very hard question. For anybody who's been paying attention, you probably already guessed, but we're going to give you a little teaser here. Brian, where should they go?
Yes, LinkedIn is where you should go. And I hate talking about myself, but I do have to plug this because it's not about me. The 150th episode of Shout Out Saturday Live, which is taking place this weekend. It is Saturday. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. It's a 4-hour extravaganza. We're going to have 150 guests. It's the first time it's ever happened. And we're really excited about it. So it is all about the positivity, uplifting. Come in your pajamas. Join us in the comments. If you miss Saturday morning cartoons, you're going to have so much fun with us. There's so many awesome surprises.
I plan to be.
That's it right there. Yes, you are. Winnie's going to be one of the guests. I'm so happy that you're joining us. I plan to be
there. Yes. I'm going to, right before my son's 12th virtual birthday. I'm jumping in. I'm really excited about this. Anything to support a friend. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you so much, Brian, for being here. And thank you so much for all of you for watching and supporting our program. Please take a moment and share widely this show with everybody. Share it all over social. As a reminder, you can find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun and on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Be well. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Take care now. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.